WNBA continues to get the kind of attention they shouldn't want. All right, again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to her.
So, it seems trading Caitlin Clark is no longer just idle chatter. It's an actual topic of discussion. And just as Indiana starts catching its breath, along comes Colin Cowherd, gleefully pouring gasoline on the rumor flames like it's his personal mission. The guy thrives on hot takes, and this one might just ignite a full-blown basketball civil war. Is he being over the top? Without a doubt. But is he entirely off base? Now that's where things get interesting.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting. The pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated, and then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. When the wave hits, ride it. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted sold-out arenas. They got it. I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this.
So here we are once again, watching the WNBA find fresh, innovative ways to trip over its own feet, almost like self-sabotage has become its favorite sport. Forget about strengthening rosters or building a loyal fan base. Apparently, the league's new pastime is orchestrating plot twists. And this latest stroke of brilliance? Float the idea of trading Caitlin Clark like she's some collectible Pokemon card and slap the word strategy on it. As if that wouldn't torch the entire league. No, not just Indiana. The whole operation would erupt into a spectacular inferno of chaos and mismanagement.
Because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3.
She was 3. That actually makes sense.
I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down.
Exactly.
There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in.
Let's start with the obvious. Trading Caitlin Clark wouldn't just wreck the fever. It would obliterate the league's one undeniable money machine. This isn't merely about losing a star player. It's about torching the storyline that's propping everything up. Clark isn't just out there dribbling. She's hauling an entire franchise on her shoulders. Truth is, she single-handedly dragged half the WNBA into the spotlight with sheer force of will. Every ticket snapped up, every jersey flying off shelves, every breathless headline, all stamped with her unmistakable mark.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league. 200.
Now picture taking all that hard-won momentum and stuffing it into a FedEx box, shipping it off without so much as a second thought. That's the kind of brainless move that has fans hurling remotes, canceling season tickets, and tuning into pickleball out of pure spite. Because there's regular dumb, and then there's legendary, record book stupid. This would be the latter, topped with an extra scoop of absurdity for good measure.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's through no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark ball. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game. And
It gets better. Not only are we flirting with trading the league's biggest star, but we've also got a coach who once watched Clark get poked in the eye, now running her team. Subtle, right? This isn't strategy, it's a setup. The goal? Dim the spotlight, keep Clark quiet. She didn't just get benched. She got sidelined politically. The front office didn't pick a coach. They picked that coach. The one who's already shown a knack for benching her. Clark and this system, they don't mix. It's not style versus style. It's outright rejection. A cold war in sneakers, clear every time she sits while a bench warmer gets free minutes.
Caitlin Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was...
Why would a league finally getting real attention pull this? Easy. Control. Control the story, the star, and keep fans hooked, but never too powerful. A player with leverage is dangerous. So when you can't slow the momentum, you hire someone who can. Call it development, smile for the cameras, and ignore the growing bad press and angry fans. This coach wasn't just hired, she was planted. It feels like a setup. That's because it is. Don't buy the normal rebuild spin. Clark's not growing. She's in timeout for daring to stand out. This isn't about basketball. It's personal, political, and calculated. And the irony? They say this coach is just being cautious. But real caution would mean using your best scorer, not benching her and hoping no one notices.
She doesn't always get the consistent great star whistle. I think they're still kind of figuring out how to officiate her. Right? Like when I've said this for years when I covered Shaq and went to Shaq got fouled more than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, it was insane. People bounced off Shaq. Jokic complains constantly. Like, people are bouncing off me. She doesn't quite get as favorable a whistle as you think. So I think
neither does Steph too.
This isn't chess. It's sabotage with a whistle. Fans see it. Broadcasters see it. Even the popcorn guy in row 5 sees it. Meanwhile, the rest of the league would love to see Clark shipped off. Imagine the surge if she landed somewhere that actually valued her. Vegas would build her a statue by Thursday. New York would have her on a Times Square billboard before her first practice. Keep her in Indiana under this regime, though, and it's like stuffing fireworks in a freezer. Nothing happens, and everyone's disappointed. Yet somehow, people still think trading her would help. Help who? The lottery odds? A backup's confidence? Because without Clark, Indiana isn't rebuilding. They're disappearing. She's the only reason national networks bother airing WNBA highlights. Why guys who couldn't spell pick and roll last year are now debating defensive schemes. You don't trade that. You protect it like the Ark of the Covenant.
Know who Caitlin Clark is. She's the golden goose, laying those golden eggs for the WNBA to prosper. Well, a lot of times we notice that the WNBA is resisting this golden goose and resisting this bump and this force of nature, which is Caitlin Clark. So we're going to dive deep into that. What's behind that? Is it jealousy, envy, pettiness, all the above, more than that?
The last part of it, the players vote, that I take some exception to, and I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan. Like, I don't care either way, but they vote her 9. And why I find that absolutely hilarious is you can say she's 9 if you want, but you don't treat her like she's 9. Because when she was here in town, they were picking her up 3/4 court the entire game, and they had her double teamed the entire game. Now, is your shooting efficiency